So if you've done the previous exercise, or at least considered it, you might be aware of the fact that you can transmute yourself and you can transmute your essence. You also might have been aware from the previous video that you can transmute the essences or souls of other people. Now, this isn't extremely funky, esoteric. You're not changing a person into a dolphin. You're not completely changing somebody's personality. You're influencing their mood in the moment. You're doing mental level psychology, and you're doing spiritual level transmutation. Now, just as you may have different levels of physical strength, and your ability to curl 10 pounds versus 20 pounds may vary based on your life experience, as will your ability to curl 30 pounds or 40 or 50 or 60 or go up to your limit number of pounds. And similar is your ability to transmute yourself and others. You might be able to get more peaceful, but only for a few seconds. You might be able to get somebody excited, but only maybe certain types of people for a certain amount of time. So the growth of the ability for you to influence a transmutative alchemical soul spiritual process is your amount of power. If we want to take one measure, it's how much power you have. Now let's try to standardize work, because work has power in its equation along with time, and let's just say unit of influence is 5 seconds. Now here's what 5 seconds can do, at least at the level where I'm currently at, with emotional transmutation. Ferocity. Fear. Peace. That's a decent amount of emotional fluency, I would say. But can I hold those vibrations for a long period of time? Will they hold? Or is my vessel, my container, so open that they're less likely to hold unless they're default? And we talked about what is default. Are you as a person, as a default, more 70% anger, 10% anger, 90% anger, 90% but it's inside and what's on the outside looks completely different, except maybe a few people who might call you out depending on the scenario? Who and what are you? Now this is where the analytical approach we mentioned earlier comes in, to a higher level of a degree than just anger and peace. How present are you on a scale of 1 to 100? And go ahead and write this down, and I'd offer, if you really want to go deep and pretend you're in a classroom, or be in a classroom if you want to think about the reality you're creating around you, pause this video as you need and take a note app or take a notepad and just write down what % present are you, just in the moment, just whatever number comes to you immediately. How peaceful are you? Just write peaceful out of 100. 100 is maximum peacefulness, 0 is least. And then under that, write happy and give that a number. And under that, write hopeless. Just general hopeless. Doesn't have to be towards anything. And then under that, write hopeful. And try not to edit and see what number comes up. And don't edit, don't think about an equation if both of those add up to 100. Just list the amount present in your system. All right, excited. And how excited are you? And 2 more. Next one is interested. How interested are you in this moment? And then the very last one is how much love you feel. And that's a general type of love, not just from a person, not just for or towards yourself. It's just a general quality of love. You may not have thought of this before, just how much love do you feel? And the number you write is the number you feel at that moment if it has changed. Cool. Now, just as if you've watched Fullmetal Alchemist, which is a really cool but intense and violent double anime series and manga series and chunk of movies and a live action now on Netflix as of the date of this recording, teaches a type of transmutation where you learn about human transmutation, both as a taboo subject, but also as something where the Elric brothers say, well, okay, there's this much phosphorus, there's this much sulfur, there's this much of this element, etc. And they're like, that's a human body, except for the soul's information, and they prick their fingers and crazy magic happens. Don't try that at home, please. But we know that there's different material elements, and so these different emotional qualities or qualities of being are also in your makeup. Now, if you're a developer or you like software, you could think of lines of code. And in the Matrix, when Tank and Dozer and Mouse and Trinity and everybody was watching Neo and Morpheus fight in that first fight scene in that first virtual dojo, they were looking at the Matrix code and they said, wow, his neurokinetics are way above normal. And they can read qualities of information based on code. So that code to them was Japanese characters and other symbols. And the code to you, we have this vibration, you have this quality of emotion of ways of being, but how else does it show up? Is it a feeling in your body? Is it ones and zeros? Or is it just what I mentioned? I would offer to you to try to take a visual, because we're going to work on third eye opening, and third eye is often getting information, and there's a lot of ways visually to relay information in the physical world that are a lot harder to do via touch. And if we're integrating spirituality and technology, even if you might have a sense of intuition through a sense of touch, or as a good friend has a sense of motion, like they sway, it's a bit difficult to convey that, say, on a billboard or a pamphlet or a book or a video if you're trying to educate many people at once in magic of consciousness, of optimizing world and psychology and human experience. So I'd offer to you just to think about a three-dimensional depiction. Maybe it's a stream of color, maybe it's an object, a shape, or a symbol, but just some type of a three-dimensional depiction that's simple, that you can draw in like 10 seconds. Maybe the first time it's more complicated, so you take longer, but a general symbol for each of these qualities. And you could say peace, maybe an infinity symbol or a circle. Anger, you could say like a jagged line. And you're essentially making your own language for your qualities and states of being. Now, there's often a grimoire, or a book of shadows, or a tome of knowledge, or tablets, or whatever you want to call it, depending on the story. That's a magician's private personal book and keepsake of their magical spells and knowledge. And while I'm more than happy to provide languages for you, and I have invented and worked with languages, especially the one by the being who likes to greet everything by Avalik Tukunai. This is a language for you. This is you decoding your being. So if you've used a few of the symbols I said earlier, maybe a circle for peace and these jagged lines for anger, you'll start to invent and create and edit your own spells with more training, where you use these elements, these emotions, as components of your spells. So what we're going to talk about now are magical systems and ways of being. And this might seem like we're jumping ahead a little bit, but if you think about it, the ways of being, the ways you are as a consciousness, we can go down the spiritual philosophy of existential ontology. What the heck does that mean? Who are you? That's actually really trippy, and that's pretty advanced of a topic. I gave you enough of it so you know what to work with, but these are actually ingredients and fuel for your magic. After all, if you want a great workout, you need a certain amount of blood sugar, protein, metabolic energy, ATP, awareness, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine in your system to have a good workout. So if you want to create a magical spell involving certain types of effects on the wider world, how much peace, how much anger, how much sulfur. So these are all different elements for you to consider. So before you move on to the next video, I would like for you just to consider writing a symbol for each of these ways of being. I'd offer that you do at least 10, and that you consider what it might be like to have a psychological anchor to these different symbols. So the technique I'm teaching you in this video by association is a bit of a trigger, a bit of an anchor, that when you notice anger, you notice squiggles. When you notice peace, you notice the circle. And what this can do is, say you get caught off in traffic, you're standing in line, somebody's rude to you, you get disappointed in life, your emotions go away from peace. To train yourself to visualize that circle, or ideally to draw that circle. Think Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. And that circle is now your own magical language, your own a little bit of neurolinguistic programming to take yourself closer to peace. So go ahead, do your first 10 letters if you'd like to accept this little assignment, and I'll see you in the next video.